Welcome back. In this training video, we'll learn how to set up a buyer. We're going to use a FOURA test database which uses our fictitious office station business model. And in order for us to maximize our time together today, we'll be reviewing a user who's already set up as a buyer in Office Station. So let's get started. It's generally recommended that the security roles in FOURA are planned out to make sure that there's shared duties or backups for every functional need. And this plan generally follows a formal organizational hierarchy, also known as an organizational chart. So to familiarize ourselves with the Office Station model, we'll take a look at their org chart in order to verify who's supposed to be a buyer. It appears that Hannah may be the primary buyer and Neil is her manager and backup. And now we'll take a look at the security roles report in FOURA reports to verify who currently has permissions to be a buyer. And as we can see here, both Hannah and Neil are currently set up as buyers. So we'll focus on Hannah's buyer setup so that we have a complete understanding of how to do it by the end of this tutorial. There are 4 easy steps that your local FOURA systems administrator will need to perform to set up any user as a buyer. Let's explore these steps with a little more detail before we delve into specific instructions. In step 1, we'll look at security roles in the logins form to make sure that the user has proper system permissions. In step 2, we'll look to see how we can assign distinct PO ranges to individual buyers or teams of buyers if that's something your business requires. In step 3, we'll look at how we can set up any ship text comments that will appear consistently on every PO for each buyer. And we'll finish with step 4, where we'll pull all of these details together on the buyer's form and view how a buyer should be set up. So let's begin with step 1, the logins form, which can be found in the System main menu, then in the Maintenance sub-menu, which displays the Logins menu icon in the Functional menu. The form can also be accessed by typing UAC in the menu code area of the FOURA Navigator. The Logins form consists of a header section with the standard FOURA toolbar and a few buttons. The Roles button allows system administrators and those with security role assignments to be able to manage user logins and security profiles. The Set Password button allows the admin to set new passwords for a user and provides the option to require the password to be changed the first time the user logs back into FOURA. The body of the form displays user login details along with the user's name and email address. Checkboxes indicate if the user is active, whether or not they are an administrator or currently connected to FOURA. The last logon and logoff dates are displayed to provide context on how often the user logs into FOURA. The status bar at the bottom displays record indicators, a filter area, and status. To set up a buyer, we need to select the user that we want to assign the security role to. And according to our Office Station security roles report that we viewed earlier, both Hannah and Neil have buyer permissions already. So we'll select Hannah and then select the Roles button to reveal the Login Roles form. This displays the current set of roles assigned to Hannah and allows us to make any necessary adjustments. And now that we've seen how Hannah was assigned the buyer's role, we can select the Assign button at the bottom. Now we'll close the Logins form now that we've completed step 1. Step 2 requires us to go look at the PO range form. The PO range form can be found in the Purchasing main menu, then in the Support sub-menu, which displays the PO range menu icon in the Functional menu. The form can also be accessed by typing BRG into the menu code area of the FOURA Navigator. The PO range feature in FOURA allows the business to define unique PO ranges for each of their buyers or a distinct PO range for a team of buyers. If a PO range is shared, FOURA will sequentially assign the next PO number within the range that is specified. As you can see here, the Office Station team is assigned to use the default PO range. To set up a range, we create the PO range code name. Give it a starting range number and an ending range number, and that's it. And as you can see here, we've assigned a small range for generic FOURA testing and a default range for our Office Station testing purposes. In step 3, we're going to take a look at the ship text feature. The ship text form can be found in the Purchasing main menu, then in the Support sub-menu, which displays the ship text menu icon in the Functional menu. The form can also be accessed by typing STX into the menu code area on the FOURA Navigator. The ship text feature in FOURA is really pretty neat. Generally, all buyers have some sort of statement that they like to put on their POs that provide the supplier some additional shipping guidance. It could be a statement like, please wrap and strap all items to a pallet, no individual items will be accepted, or please send tracking number upon shipment. Each buyer can define their own generic statement that best suits the function of the business that they support. Then the statement will automatically appear in the PO notes when the PO is created. And yes, the note can be modified while the PO is in draft or revising status. So in order for this to work, we have to use the code that we plan to use for the buyer. And as you can see here, the code HR is Hannah Rawls' initials, which is also her buyer code. The code is followed by a generic shipping instruction statement, or a ship text, that will go on all of Hannah's POs. Now let's move on to the fourth and final step. This requires us to open the buyer's form so that we can look at how a buyer is set up in FOURA. The buyer's form can be found on the Purchasing main menu, then in the Purchasing sub-menu, which displays the buyer's menu icon in the functional menu. The form can also be accessed by typing BYR in the menu code area of the FOURA Navigator. The buyer's form consists of a header section with the standard FOURA toolbar, and there's also an attachment button. To learn more about attachments and attachment management, please see the help topics in FOURA's help file. The body of the form displays the information in a grid format, and the status bar at the bottom shows record indicators, a filter, and status. In the body, there's an ID column that shows a systemic ID number for each buyer. The active checkbox indicates whether or not the buyer is currently active. We assign a unique 2-digit alpha code to each buyer, which as we've seen is usually the buyer's initials. And just a reminder, this code is also used on the ship text form as well. The next column gets the user login, followed by the first and last name. Then we enter a title, a phone number, and an email address. The last two fields are control fields that align with steps 2 and 3 that we just discussed. And that's it to setting up a buyer. We have to make sure that the user has permissions to access the purchasing workflow. Then we make a unique PO range if we need it. Then we enter a unique ship text statement, and we pull it all together when we complete the buyer's form. Well, that wraps up this tutorial. Please be sure to check out additional tutorials to learn more about FOURA's powerful features, processes, and tips. Thanks for watching.